A matter of days after the first sprint weekend of 2023 at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Formula One has relocated across the Atlantic to the first of 3 races in the United States of America. We are here, we are live for weekend warm-up in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami for the 2023 Dan Marino Grand Prix. Welcome, folks, to your weekend warm-up with me and him and her and him, where he is Lawrence Barretto, she is Laura Winter, and he is Mr. Alex Jakes. First of all, guys, you're all looking wonderful. Loving the bougie Miami look.
Miami vibes, loving the shirt.
Thank you so much.
It was
picked
a risk.
It out.
I did pick it. We
went
had a lovely
shopping
shopping trip.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, you picked out this and I picked that out for you.
I think we did
Worth
quite
the risk.
well.
Yeah, I think you look great. I think you look great. And also, we've got Alex Jakes on Weekend Warm-Up in the flesh, real life.
Hello,
you did
guys.
not get the Miami memo.
No, basically what's happened is this side of your shot are people who have dressed for television, and this is a man who's dressed for a commentary box. That's what's going on.
I like that. Your tree trunk vibes, I'm foliage
It
vibes.
works in a terrible kind of way.
Yeah, it does. It's great. You guys enjoy being in Miami?
Oh, I'm loving it so far.
Yeah.
The vibe around here is great. The weather is so good. Everyone's just excited to be in. They've really upped their game, I think, the Miami team
Massively.
this
This
weekend.
paddock is insane.
It's
We're in
incredible.
the middle of the stadium. We're literally on the pitch.
Yeah, there's such a buzz about the place as well. There's food and drink places, there's T-shirt printing again, there's loads going on in there, Scalextrics and all sorts going on. There's been a football tournament out here, American football tournament that drivers have been taking part in. It's epic here. There's such a buzz.
And you pick your races carefully, don't you, Alex? Which ones you want to come to?
Yes. I've got a terrific agent, which is also me. So, yeah, it's wonderful to be here. You get some cities that don't fully embrace the F1 experience, even if they have a great racetrack. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
This place adores having any sporting event here, and the amalgamation of the NFL stadium to have the paddock in, people throwing a football around in the background, all the drivers doing combine times.
Yes.
It's a great spectacle. It's a great place for the race.
Been a great way to start this weekend, but as always, at the start of weekend warm-up, we have to look back over the action of the last Grand Prix. That was, of course, in Azerbaijan. And normally this is Lawrence Barretto's job, but instead, Laura Winter, 60 seconds, go.
Oh, it's already started. I didn't even know. Okay, right, so Charles Leclerc on pole leads so neatly into turn 1. All the cars follow very well behind. Lap 4, Max Verstappen overtakes Charles Leclerc, and not long after that, Checo Perez also overtakes, winner, of course, of the sprint race the day before. Max Verstappen pits, a very untimely decision for Red Bull because Nick de Vries has deployed the safety car with that one. That means, oh, hang on, George Russell overtakes Lance Stroll in the pit lane. A wild move, but a legal one at that. Checo Perez leads on track as we get a restart under safety car. Lovely move here. Fernando Alonso over Carlos Sainz. Beautiful one. And it's all sort of going well under safety car. Oh, safety car's gone. Restart's happened. And we see here Mercedes, Hamilton, George Russell overtake. Everyone getting a bit squirrely, pushing to the absolute limit, including the Red Bulls. 6 points separates them now as Checo Perez wins, Max Verstappen P2, Ferrari first, podium with Charles Leclerc.
Lovely.
Ooh,
well, we know
that was hectic.
when Alex can't make a race weekend, we know who's going to fill in now. That's
yeah,
it.
that was some grade A commentary there for you, and it's probably why I don't do it, why I'm normally in your position, Will. I feel very out of sorts here, but I gave it a good go.
I was very
I
impressed.
thought it was great.
Well done.
And I mean, I've got to admit,
Alex is saying nothing.
I loved it. All 60 seconds.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, that sprint race weekend format, of course, everything different. Some interesting stats from the weekend. 75% increase in viewership from where FP2 normally was for where qualifying was. And then where we normally have FP3, a 35% increase in viewership on that for the sprint shootout session. So the figures were good. Lawrence, how did you enjoy the weekend?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think drivers want less practice. I think fans want less practice. I want less practice. And I think it was a much better spectacle to have something was on the line in all of those sessions. Everyone was getting excited. The adrenaline was pumping. And there was a really nice feel as the weekend pulled through. And we still got to Sunday, and Sunday was still the big day. Everyone was still excited about the Grand Prix. So actually, I think it worked out really well.
DRS zone was shortened in Azerbaijan. They've shortened it here as well, Alex, haven't they? It's not the only track change they've made, though.
No, not the only track change. They've altered a little bit at turn 15, but the main story is the surface. The drivers were not happy with the surface last year. The event has listened to it, and they're expecting, well, a bit more grip, maybe some more overtakes as a result.
Is it just specific corners, or have they resurfaced everything?
They've resurfaced everything. And I think they're going to every single year that we turn up.
I think they might have to. Yeah, it's a beautiful space here. Of course, this track laid specifically around here for the Grand Prix. Lots have been going on in town today as well, Laura. Lots of activations from all the teams.
Yeah, plenty going on. I know yesterday Lewis Hamilton was involved with an IWC event playing basketball. I know Zhou, Valtteri Bottas were both, I think, pitching baseball, wasn't it? Will, you've had an event today as well?
Yeah, there was a F1 Accelerate event this morning. Loads of speakers from the world of sport and entertainment and broadcasting. Lindsey Vonn was there, Lewis Hamilton was there, Logan Sargeant, Susie Wolff. Yeah, brilliant. But also Jerry Bruckheimer and Joseph Kosinski talking about the new F1 movie. Filming begins in Silverstone. They've created an 11th team. So they've worked with Mercedes to design a car that will run on the weekends, and they're going to follow the season. So it's basically how John Frankenheimer made Grand Prix in the 1960s. So anybody's going, oh, they can't, sport's changed. The sports, it's gone. Sport's gone. They did it in the 60s, but they're trying to do that same thing. The tech that they have developed from Top Gun Maverick, what they learned there, what they're putting on these F1 cars, very, very exciting.
I think it's great, actually. There's plenty of events building up to Miami. I think it shows what a massive event this is. Like, you've got Lewis out on a basketball court doing that. You've got Joe throwing a really good pitch, actually. You should go watch the video.
I didn't see it.
Fair play to him.
Yeah.
He was very nervous beforehand. And personally, I think he smashed it out of the park because it's much further than it looks when
if
he
you bounce
it,
it,
smashes it out of the park.
If you
Yes,
bounce it, they
very
boo
good.
you. If you bounce the pitch,
The pressure.
it can get fruity.
Did a good job. Right. We are here, of course, for the F1 weekend and the on-track action, but we arrive here with the championship battle. Very hot indeed. 6 points, as you said, Laura, separate Max Verstappen from Sergio Perez. What do we think about this championship fight? Has Sergio got it in him?
Well, I think Sergio's doing everything he can to show that he's got it in him to fight for this championship. I think he's got to keep it tight. He's got to keep it close. If Max is going to win, then Checo's always got to finish second. Then when the opportunity comes up, like it did in Baku, he's got to take those opportunities. Max is like some superhero talent, so it's going to be a difficult one to beat him. But just being in the mix gives him a chance.
Does indeed. Why don't we hear from Sergio Perez now on his chances for the F1 World Championship in 2023?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, very well. Congratulations last weekend.
Thank you so much.
Great stuff. All good. Well, Checo, as ever, huge hype coming into Miami. There's just so much going on off the track and on the track as well. It's another street circuit. How excited are you for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to this weekend to make sure we are competitive and we deliver when it matters. It's a new opportunity for us, so I'm really looking forward to it.
6 points is the gap between you and your teammate Max Verstappen. How will you sustain this title fight through the season?
By winning races, and yeah, pretty simple. It's just by winning races and keeping Max under pressure.
And there's so much buzz around Miami. You in the team have got a brand new livery on the car. It's exciting, isn't it, to see it out there?
Yeah, super exciting. I mean, we haven't been able to see the delivery yet, so yeah, I mean, it's a great weekend. It's a lot of. It's a different, let's put it this way, it's not a normal thing. Everyone is looking massively forward for Miami, and there's a lot of Latins, and I'm so happy to be close to home. I haven't been able to go home in a while now, but it just feels nice to be able to at least be on the same time zone.
Almost like a home race for you, you can claim it.
Yeah, I'm the local here.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll take it.
He looks relaxed, doesn't he, Checo? Looks really relaxed.
He looked quite buzzed. He looked full of energy when he came into the pen. His face was kind of full and beaming. And the one thing to note in my very garbled 60-second recap of Baku that I didn't manage to get in, yes, it was an untimely decision under the safety car to pit Max Verstappen, and it kind of happened almost at the same time as Nick de Vries was shown off the track. But actually, Perez was at that point gaining on Max. He was putting him under pressure.
Yeah,
you heard in that answer, he said, I need to keep putting Max under pressure. And he is. And this is somewhat of a street circuit, albeit rather a new one or a different one. So he's got every chance possible here, but he has to maximise the street circuits. Equally, he has to start winning on tracks that aren't street circuits, that don't play to that specific strength. He's never sustained a title challenge before. It doesn't mean he can't. We'll have to see how it transpires.
We will indeed. Now, something different for the season last time out in Azerbaijan. Yes, a Red Bull won too, but not an Aston Martin on the podium. Ferrari, circuit specific, or have they made a genuine step?
I think there's a couple of things there. Charles always runs well at Baku. He loves that circuit, and it's a circuit where if you can push that a little bit harder, you can gain a couple of thousandths here, a couple of thousandths there, and that makes up hundreds. We saw how Carlos Sainz, his teammate, really struggled. So I do think there was a driver difference there. But the team have made a step forward. They are improving that car with the understanding of it. They've got a few small updates here, some small tweaks to the floor. I think the big package is going to come in a couple of races' time. But the important thing is they're understanding that car, how to get the most out of it.
Lots of talk in the press about Ferrari hiring new people on board, potentially a couple from Red Bull, maybe a little bit of skullduggery there, that they'll let Laurent Mekies go to AlphaTauri early if Red Bull don't make their guys have too long a gardening leave periods. What are you hearing?
I mean, there's always going to be negotiations behind the scenes because they obviously want Laurent to get out of his deal with Ferrari as quickly as possible so they can become the future. And Fred has been very clear that he wants to go on a bit of a recruitment drive, see if he can bring some talent from around the paddock. The problem here is the gardening leave periods are so long that you could sign someone here and you can't get them for 2 years' time. Yeah. So even if he manages to do that, it's going to be difficult, but he is looking to strengthen. I think that's the important thing. Mercedes
now actually linked to Ferrari. Bit of chat that Toto might be looking at Charles Leclerc if Charles decides that he's going to leave Ferrari. I mean, he's bolted in for a good few years yet, but who knows. Mercedes as well. Nice fight between the two drivers in Azerbaijan. What do we think about their chances here?
Yeah, there was obviously, I think, some improvements from certainly where they qualified for both drivers, but not where they were in Melbourne. And I think Lewis Hamilton, certainly when I spoke to him earlier in the pen, very keen indeed to get back to that Melbourne form, but unsure. Yeah. But you could see that he is absolutely loving the Miami vibe. I mean, it suits him, doesn't it? It suits him down to the ground. He's really enjoying the vibe here, the buzz here, the sporting community that you can see here as well. He feels, I think, very much at home, it seems, here in Miami. On track, though, he can only compare being here to last year, where, of course, that car was suffering enormously with porpoising and bouncing. And he said he's looking forward to actually getting a look at the track because it won't be a big blur bouncing up and down, which I thought was quite
actually
amusing.
Getting a proper sight.
Yeah, actually seeing it for the first time.
Well, why don't we hear from Lewis Hamilton, but first, Charles Leclerc.
Oh, really good to see you in Miami. Is it a kind of place that you love to visit?
Yes, I really enjoy being here. I love the United States in general, but Miami is one of the great places of the United States. So it's good to have a race here, and it's good to see so much excitement around the race weekend here.
Have you had any time to enjoy it yet, or is it straight into business?
Straight into business, because I went back home in between Baku and here. So I did 1 day home, then Tuesday night I arrived here. Wednesday I went for a run, so I saw a bit more of the city, but yeah, it's not like I did much.
So how are you feeling about this weekend? I know it wasn't the result you wanted in Baku completely, but it was still a little bit of a step forward, wasn't it?
It was a little bit of a step forward. I hope we can keep that momentum coming here. We know that we are not at the level of Red Bull, but we know what are the areas that we need to improve, and this we are doing absolutely everything to improve as quickly as possible, because the championship is long, but now we've done five races already, or 4 races.
It's the 5th one.
It's the 5th one. So yeah, we need to find some pace, and we know that it needs to be as soon as possible. But we have few new things on the car for here. I don't think it's going to be as much of a game changer to fight for the wins with Red Bull, but it should bring us closer.
How challenging are you finding just not having that car to quite kind of fight right at the top? Because you've obviously had an experience of having that car at one point and then not, and it's just been a bit difficult. How are you finding that now with the experience that you've got?
Well, it's like this. At the end, I am focusing on step by step on what are the areas that we need to work on in order to be in the fight as quickly as possible. That's all that matters to me. It's and to the team too, is to be fighting for win as quickly as possible. And yeah, I mean, obviously at the beginning of the year we expected more, but at the end is the way it is, and now we need to focus on the future and yeah, be as quickly as possible, improving the car to come back to fighting in the front.
And it's not disruptive when people talk about your future, is it? Linking you to Mercedes, that kind of thing. You're experienced enough to kind of put that aside.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, these are not kind of discussion that I'm used to, because since I arrived in Formula 1, it's been always pretty straightforward what was going to happen for me. I did the first year in Alpha and then got into Ferrari, and since that moment onwards, there has never been talks around my contract, because it was very clear that I was with Ferrari. So it's normal that at one point, once the contract finishes, this talk starts, but it doesn't disturb me, it doesn't disturb the team. I think the team knows what I have in mind and what I want, and this is the most important.
Lovely stuff. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Lewis, we saw the basketball event you were at yesterday. It seems Miami suits you. How much are you enjoying the vibe here? And what else have you been up to as well?
So I touched down, I came from the simulator on Tuesday morning, went straight to the airport, flew here, got here on Tuesday night. We had the IWC event, which was really great because with my team partners, we're working on really creating impact, and we had the Dibia Dreams kids come through, and Dibia Dreams are working on getting kids from underserved communities here throughout the States into STEM subjects and recreation also. Which is really great to see. So, and then I had an event with Marriott Bonvoy, and I had a stage appearance this morning for the summit with Formula One, and then I've been here. So it's a flat-out week, but I really do enjoy being here. The weather's fantastic. People are really excited because there's a real great sporting culture here in Miami, and I just can't wait to get in the car.
There's a great buzz, isn't there? On track then, how much are you looking forward in a normal sporting format weekend to getting stuck in, optimising the car to the perfect setup, and how much of a step do you hope to take from Baku and perhaps get back to a little bit of what we saw in Melbourne?
Really hopeful that we are where we, as close as we were in Melbourne, for example. That would be incredible. I'm hoping, we do have long straights here as well, but I'm hoping our car performs a bit better here. Last year we were bouncing a lot, but this year we don't have that. So hopefully the car will be more predictable, more enjoyable to drive, and get to see this track in a different field of view. Because last year it was just like blur. So.
Good stuff. Thanks for that.
Fascinating then to hear that Lewis Hamilton went home in between Azerbaijan and here to jump on the simulator not too long ago. Lewis was not one for the simulator at all, so fascinating to hear him go back in between the races. Let's have a little talk about Aston Martin. If we can, Fernando 27 points behind Checo, still there, or thereabouts, doing great.
It's incredible, really, what the difference is with Fernando in a car that can compete. He's loving it. I asked him that specific question today. He's absolutely loving driving, fighting for a podium. The fact that he finished fourth and was upset in Baku shows how far they've come. I'm excited to see what they can do on this slightly more medium downforce circuit.
And the team leader role. Big brother Fernando on Lance, saying he's going to be there 10 to 15 years, and he's just giving him the tools.
But also the team radio that we heard as well about the brake balance, suggesting that to Lance. It shows the camaraderie within that team. And I know Lance then did have a few offs as soon as Fernando had suggested it, but I'm sure there's something to that. But it's just...
well, giving him bum information.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to that. I think the internet loved that. But it's just lovely to hear that, and Lance equally saying, I'm not going to fight Fernando.
Yeah.
We're both in the same game. We're both
teamwork.
playing the same game here. That's to fight the likes of Ferrari and Mercedes.
And we haven't yet seen the upgrades come to Aston Martin. We know they've got so much time because of their 7th place finish last year, so all of that's still to come. We did see upgrades, however, at McLaren, and they seem to do an immediate job.
Yeah, it looks like 0.2, 0.3 seconds, which I know doesn't sound like a load, but that does push you up to the front or towards the front of the midfield. So a massive step for this team, but they've got so much more in the pipeline, much more coming before the summer break. And this is actually the car that they wanted to launch at the start of the season, had they not changed their development direction. So what they've managed to achieve and what they've got out the car, and Oscar up to speed as quickly as possible as well, is really impressive.
Yeah, and critically 3 practice sessions this weekend to get even more understanding out of those upgrades. Oscar Piastri feeling very much better, back to full health. Something going round. I think few people have been struck down in the paddock over the last week. In between the 2 races, right, Alpine, not a very pretty start to the season for them, particularly last time out. Upgrade package never really got to find out its full potential because they had a torrid weekend.
No, not at all. An awful weekend. And it came off the back, don't forget, of an awful weekend in Melbourne where, yes, everything had gone right for them, running in the points until, of course, that restart, which saw them both crash out, 2 DNFs. And then Baku, where they were hit with various offs, mistakes, reliability issues, which they believe have been solved. They don't think there'll be a problem here, but they have got to bounce back and bounce back fast.
They really do. You spoke to Pierre Gasly early today, so let's go and hear from Laura with Pierre.
Well, Pierre, a new weekend, big Miami vibes as well, and hopefully a fresh mindset for you coming into this one. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. We need to look forward and bounce back after a tricky weekend in Baku. Obviously, we were all disappointed with the performance we displayed, but you need to stick together, look forward, learn from the mistakes we did, and just deliver a better performance here in Miami, and we're ready for it.
We know Miami is a far from normal Grand Prix weekend, but it's a normal format at least. How much more are you hoping to learn from the upgrades, able to really optimise them, and is reliability still a concern for Alpine?
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to have more sessions. We have a pretty busy test plan over the entire Friday and also for FP3, because I think we still need more time to understand these upgrades, understand how to optimize the package we got. So yeah, it's going to be better to have this more traditional race weekend, and then reliability is not really a concern. We understood what happened in Baku, and yeah, we're confident it won't happen again in the future.
Good to hear from Pierre Gasly, resplendent. He was rocking the oatmeal look today, was Pierre Gasly. I think it's all going to start, he hopes anyway, I think everybody does, it'll start to come good for Alpine from this weekend. Let's talk Alfa Romeo. You spoke to Valtteri earlier today. Is it just me that feels he's been a bit anonymous this season? Is it down to the car? Is there a shift in Valtteri? What's going on?
I still don't think it's clear enough whether or not Joe's taken a step, and I do think he has done that, he's improved, but I don't know whether it's because he's taken such a big step and Valtteri's maybe just stayed at the same level, or if Valtteri has dropped back. I think it's still quite unclear, because actually the car hasn't really been where they want it to be. They've not managed to get the true potential out of it. They were at a loss to explain why it was so poor in Baku, and they want to come here and hope that it is a step forward, and if it isn't, then I think there will be some serious head scratching at that team, because they had so much hope that they could make a step forward this year.
And the season started so well with good points in Bahrain. Also, not a very easy start to the year for AlphaTauri either. We're talking about difficult cars to drive. That AlphaTauri has not been very pretty, but Yuki Tsunoda, 2 points finishes in a row, doing a really great job in that car. Nyck de Vries struggled in Baku. I think a weekend to forget.
Yeah, absolutely. And already we're seeing these rumours come out that, could we see a Liam Lawson mid-season switch already? This is the nature of the sport. It's a cruel beast, isn't it? We're seeing that kind of pressure heaped on his shoulders. We saw him at the airport, didn't we, on our various flights that we took from Baku to here. And he knows that he's got to come out fighting here. When he got that DNF in Baku, he got straight on the treadmill, did a 10K run in about 3 layers to start heat training for here. So he's focused, he knows what he needs to do. But it's been, as you say, a really tricky start to the season for him. But Yuki Tsunoda is making him look that little bit worse as well, because if they were both performing to where the car is, then perhaps, Nick's performance could be, I guess, under the radar a little bit. But Yuki Tsunoda, as I say, he is outperforming that car. 2 points now in 2 races. And when you speak to him, the focus is there. He's not resting on his laurels from Baku. Fresh mindset, fresh weekend and a reset.
Yeah, performing seeming miracles with that car is Yuki. Words out of Franz Tost in the week that rookies these years take about 3 seasons to get themselves properly up to pace in Formula One. So he's not too worried about Nyck de Vries' form. Right, we're in the States. Let's talk all things America. Let's start with the Haas F1 team.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I wasn't sure if there was a question there.
It's been an odd couple of races for them, but quite up and down.
I think fundamentally they've got a car that is quick. They just can't seem to start the weekend on the strong foot to get the most out of it, and that's why, like Kevin, after a difficult weekend, through the weekend, problems in Baku, the sprint, practice when they had it, qualifying, nothing really went right, and he still comes out that weekend going, it's going to be okay. And he's coming back here, and talking to him today, he's pretty confident that they'll be back on in the position to be fighting for Q3s, fighting for points. They just can't seem to regularly do that, and that's been a perennial problem for Haas, I think. They only really had 1 year where they were able to be super consistent through the year. They've got a good car this year. They've had a few rounds. They've kind of got to get started and start delivering on what they've got there.
And what about Williams? Because Logan has had flashes of brilliance. He's had little moments where he's just seemingly pushed a touch too far and made the mistake, but the potential in the car looks great. They just don't seem to have the points to show for it. Yeah,
look, first Q2 in Baku, a great result for him, but then pushing that bit too far in the sprint shootout. a DNF in that one, and then ultimately a DNS for the race itself. So a bit of a rollercoaster weekend for him. But generally, Williams came into the season believing they were absolutely bottom of the pile. That car was going to be really so. It was going to be a really difficult season. We're seeing such encouraging promise and pace from them that they're now saying, well, 1 point isn't enough and it's not a fair reflection. That's a positive step on, but they've got to start capitalising now on the opportunities to score points. But I know Alex Albon's saying that last time out was one of his strongest weekends ever, even if it wasn't point scoring. So there's a lot of potential in that Williams.
Lovely stuff. Right, let's hear from the local boy. And when we say local boy, it really is a local boy. Started karting right here in Miami. Logan Sargeant will be very much, I think, the belle of the ball, shall we say? Something like that, anyway, here in Miami as he returns home.
Logan, really good to see you. This is the weekend I imagine you've been waiting for a long time. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be home. I got to spend Tuesday with my parents and my family at home and just get out on the beach, get in the water. Felt good. And yeah, it's been a busy last couple of days, but we're ready for it. And it's gonna be a tough weekend. It's gonna be hot, physical, and track I don't know, but we're ready to take on the challenge.
There seems to be a lot of love for you, for Williams in this country. How's that kind of raring you to go this weekend?
No, yeah, I mean, I know that we do it right here in America, and the American fans are always here to put on a good atmosphere and a good show. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to go out there and perform, and it's just another great opportunity for us to keep building something and have a good weekend.
And we're back to an original format or more traditional format this weekend. How important is it to have those 3 practice sessions to learn this place?
Yeah, it's important. I'm glad we're coming back into a normal weekend here. Gives me 3 sessions to build up to it, and hopefully by qualifying we're going to be properly on it to go and have a good session. And yeah, it's going to be a tough weekend, but a lot of hurdles to get over. But I'm excited, and I got the whole team and country supporting me.
Now, I know it's only been a few days, but lots of learnings from Baku that you can kind of take here and hope that helps make a step forward?
Yeah, definitely. I think Baku is probably the weekend I've learned the most so far this year in F1. I really feel like everything's coming more and more towards me. It's coming in it's going in the right direction. I feel like my qualifyings in Baku were already a really good step forward, apart from the crash. But generally speaking, I think it was a better weekend than the previous 2, and I'm excited to go for it again here in Miami.
Great stuff. All the best this weekend. Thank you. Cheers, buddy.
Logan Sargeant there, the belle of the ball. Or could have just called him the home hero. Could have called him anything would have been better than belle of the ball, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was an interesting one, Will, but that's jet lag for you, right?
That's jet lag for you, my friend. Speaking of the belle of the ball, Alex Jakes has returned for our favourite part of the show. It's the part we prepare for the most. Predictions for the race weekend. Should we start with you, my friend?
We're doing the top 3.
Yes, we're doing the top 3.
We're doing the
it's
top 3.
Good to know you watch the
show. We'll go for Sergio Perez to do what he's never done before in Formula 1 and win back-to-back Grand Prix.
Oh, yes.
And then Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso.
Interesting, Laura Winter.
Do you know what? I'm going to agree with Alex Jakes on our winner. I think Sergio Perez looks incredibly focused, determined. I think there's an energy about him that I'm liking. I'm going to say he's going to win here as well. I'm going to back that up, but I'm going to say it is a Max Verstappen P2 and a Charles Leclerc P3.
I'm going to say it's Max Verstappen victory. I think he's going to be back on it this weekend. Sorry to burst that bubble, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. Charles Leclerc, I think, is going to be in the mix this weekend, second, and Sergio Perez third.
Interesting. I think Max was kind of off his game a little bit in Baku. I think the sprint kind of threw him and he wasn't quite himself. That says I'm going to say Sergio Perez for the win, like you guys, which means we probably jinxed him.
Yep.
Max Verstappen P2, and I'll go Lewis Hamilton P3. Why not? Why not? A little bit of fun. Right, of course, this weekend, Alex Jakes is here, and so too is Mr. James Hinchcliffe, who will be joining Alex in commentary all the way through the weekend. We hope that you will join us through the weekend here in Miami. And here's what's coming up on F1 TV. Practice 1 coming your way at 1:45 p.m. tomorrow. Practice 2 at 5:15 local time on Saturday. Practice 3 at 12:15. Your pre-quali show at 3:30. Qualifying at 4, with the post-quali show coming immediately after the checkered flag. Then it's race day. Don't miss a thing. Pre-race show at 2:30. Race at 3:30. Your post-race show, as always, coming along straight after the podium. That's it then, folks, for weekend warm-up live from the Hard Rock Stadium here in Miami for the Dan Marino Grand Prix. It's going to be a great weekend. Can Sergio Perez be the king of the streets once again, or can Max Verstappen punch back and reassert his dominance over this championship? Join us on F1 TV. For now, for all of us here in Miami, that is your lot.
We in Miami, the best city in the world, and the whole world is here.
Yes! Oh, what a race.